So yeah, right now I'm on my way to a job in Watford. It's a Vokera Linea boiler as far as I'm aware. Our engineer has been out there a couple of times. So first time round he changed the divert valve cartridge. Okay, the problem with the boiler is when they run the hot tap, the heating's coming on. So he changed the divert valve cartridge and it's still done the same thing. He then spoke to Vokera, who told him to change the diverter valve itself, the actuator. So he changed the actuator, it's still done the same thing. He then removed the plate heat exchanger and checked that, and apparently that's clear. He then spoke to Vokera again, who told him to replace the whole manifold that has the diverter valve in it. So apparently he's replaced the manifold, including the diverter, the actuator. He's removed the plate and checked that, and I don't know if people know, a lot of people don't, but on the Lineas there's a little non-return valve. I asked him about that, he went a bit quiet and then said he did check that, so I'm assuming he has checked that. So yeah, let's go and we'll find out what's causing it. Right now I don't actually have, oh, where's this guy going? Look at this. So right now I don't actually have any real idea of what it could be. I mean, it could be something to do with the board or the harness, but I'm sure it's going to be something a bit more basic than that. I reckon, you know, remember I always say, or try and say, keep things simple. Well, I think this is a case of keeping it simple, and hopefully I'll find the answer pretty quick. So I will hopefully get permission to film, and if I do, obviously you guys are going to see it. Okay, here we are. Vokera Linea 24. The heating's coming on with the hot water. The customer's also reporting they've been left with no hot water overnight. But the heating isn't coming on. So that's the first thing I noticed. The valve for hot water is off. And it appears to me, just checking one rad, that the engineer may have turned off the valves to the radiators to stop them coming on. So I'm going to get the case off this, turn that on and check to see if the valve is passing, which is quite an easy thing to do. Okay, so there's all new. Let's see. Let's go find a room stat. All we're doing this for is to find out in what mode for heating, what is this diverter valve, what position is the diverter valve going to be in. Right now it's all the way out, so that'd be pushing that pin in. So let's see what happens when we turn the room stat up. Okay, so room stat's up, boiler's in central heating mode. The pin's gone all the way in for central heating. So that then means that this is now in heating mode, this diverter valve. So to put it in hot water mode, that pin needs to go all the way in. So what I'm going to do now, I've got the gas off so I don't get anything warm while I was testing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to push that pin in manually. Okay. Oh no, actually no. That's now gone all the way out. for some reason. But that's alright, it's just a fault, that's fine. That pin's gone all the way out for some reason. So we need to guarantee that is in hot water mode, or heating mode right now. So the way I'm going to guarantee this is heating mode, or the way I'm going to guarantee what mode the diverter's in, I'm now going to turn the heating and everything off on the front and on the room stat. I'm then going to run the hot tap and see what mode the diverter goes in. Once again, the boiler will not do it light because the gas valve is, the gas cock is closed, because I don't want to get anything hot while I'm testing. So that's the next step. Turn the heating off, run a hot tap. We need to put this valve in the on position because it's off at the moment. And see what position this diverter goes in for hot water. Okay, so we've got the hot tap open. Now I'm going to turn this valve on for hot water and then reset the boiler. So that's now on. Got hot water coming out of the tap. So now that's the boiler's running for hot water. It's trying to light. So this diverter valve is now in hot water mode. So we check, and that's out. So in hot water mode, that pin inside there should be pushed right in. So I'm now going to manually do that with the gas on and see if any heat leaves the boiler. Right, so just to make that clear, this is in hot water mode. The pin is pushed all the way out, okay? So that would in turn mean this pin in here would be pushed all the way in, okay, which you can't really do right now with this screwdriver, but I'll get another one to do this with. That pin would be all the way in, that's hot water mode. So I hold that pin in manually with a screwdriver or the end of my grips or something, like that. Yeah, that's now in hot water mode. If I was to turn the gas on and reset the boiler, it should fire in hot water mode. If any heat gets down that flow pipe, we know there is a problem with this hydraulic block. If no heat gets down this flow pipe, we know the issue is then with electronics or a blockage somewhere. Or it could be this actuator, the pin isn't coming out far enough, which could be the cause. We'll see. Okay, so for ease of checking that, obviously I'm going to be holding this pin in. I have my analyzer set up here with the probes in it going on to the flow and return in there, so we can monitor if any heat's getting past that valve. So once this is ready, I'll film again. Okay, so the gas is back on. I'm going to reset this from underneath here. So that's it, reset. Got that manually held in. Boiler's lit and firing for hot water. Holding that pin in. So I've got high flame now. Still holding this in. Hand's a bit wobbly, there might be a little bit of, you can see that. Pretty stable, isn't it? Just what I'm waiting for, I want to see if the boiler goes to overheat. We know we've got a restriction in the plate heat exchanger or the pipework, so the boiler's now gone off on temperature. Again, no heat down there. Yeah, or if we are, it's 0.4 of a degree. Yeah, not even that. Look. So it's very minor. There's no there's no heat escaping through this diverter now. I'm manually holding it, which points to it's not a mechanical issue unless it's this actuator not pushing the diverter home. So it must be a restriction, because mechanically this will stop the water going around the heating signal. The boiler doesn't seem to be overheating. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to isolate the gas, lose all the heat out of this, and then I'm going to set up another test. So I've isolated the gas. I'm now going to let go of this and we'll see the heat instantly come out of the diverter. Okay, shot up 32, 40. So we're reading right. So I'll get this back down to around 20 degrees. There's no extra heat going in now because I've got the gas isolated. So once these are of similar level again, I'll set up the next test. Okay, so as you can see, the hot water temperature, this is the hot water by the way, this top one. The hot water temperature is at 41 degrees and the flow temperature is at 25. So I'm just going to... it's not bad, you know, no real heat in that. Let's get it to focus, huh? So I'm doing it the way I normally would on a job, yeah? That's the return, and that's cold. That's the flow, and that is, it's not hot. So that flow has come up to 25.1 degrees. We've got this rad here is fully on the lock shield and the TRV, so I can, any heat was going to get dumped into this basically. So that's where we're at. No significant increase there, so maybe this isn't to do with the hot water demand. Maybe the boiler just, maybe the engineer got confused and the boiler just suddenly decides to run for heating randomly. Now that could be the case. You know, maybe it's got inbuilt frost protection and there's something wrong with the temperature sensor on it. So, because that 25 is not going to warm up the house. It is probably about 24, 25 degrees today. Very warm. So what I'm going to do now is turn the tap off and see if the boiler suddenly then decides to run for heating. Because that's no significant increase on that one. It's really not. Okay, so I've taken the clamp off the hot water outlet and put it on the return, which is T1C. So the return temperature is 26.1. Now that is just going to be because the clamp's still a bit warm, the plastic and everything else. As you can see, there really is no difference there at all. So the diverter, when it's in hot water mode, doesn't appear to be letting by. Okay, not enough to heat the rads up anyway. We've got a 0.3 degree temperature rise, temperature difference between the two clamps down there. So it's not going to be that. It's not going to be the diverter when it's in hot water mode. So it's got to be something else. So with that, look, 25.8, 25.8. Flow and return temperature exactly the same. Now that we've given it a few minutes, it's still running for hot water. It's got a good flame picture. So now what I'm going to do is stop the hot water demand. Bear with me. By simply turning this valve to the mid position. Okay. So boiler stopped firing. Suddenly got no demand. And that all seems to be pretty good, right? No perceivable difference between flow and return temperatures. So the diverter and all this hydraulic block do appear to be working. So whatever is causing this issue of the radiators coming on is not to do with any of that. So it's got to be electronic. So what we did, the first thing we did is we ruled out all the mechanical parts there, which is this hydraulic block, which got changed, the guts of the diverter and the cover, and we've now eliminated this actuator because we've proven that when the actuator is in the correct mode, it does stop water going out to the heating system. So now it might be another issue with the boiler that's causing it to run, such as I don't know if they have frost protection, so that's the next thing I'm going to find out, and find out what controls frost protection to see if it could be that's causing the boiler to come on, a faulty sensor. I have known these boilers as well, they have a funny CO position on the on-off knob. I have known them to cause this sort of issue. So the next call may well be to Vokera if I can't get it to go to fault. So I'll just get the visuals out of the way before I get it too hot. I don't want to get the boiler red hot and then do visuals. So this all looks good. So like I say, get this all in heating mode. Get a few degrees temperature rise on here. You know, maybe 30, 35, I don't know, something quite low. And then run the hot tap again to get this all to go back into hot water mode, and hopefully this will stay within a few degrees of where I left it. Okay, so that's back where it should be. I've got the hot tap off. I'll put this boiler into heating mode. Boiler's running. I'm guessing this is for preheat on hot water. It's on 33 degrees, but as you can see it's going down. So what happened there, oh come on. So what happened there, it initially ran the pump and it pushed a bit of heat out into the system, and then it moved over to hot water mode. It ran for a second, and now it's stopped. So let me get some heat going into the heating system, get that diverter in heating mode. I mean, what we've just done is kind of proved it, but let's do it so we're really sure. I'm going to turn this, God focus, come on, I'm going to turn this onto on, like that. I'll turn this right down low. So there we go, turn that low, down on. The boiler's dumping the heat out of itself. Yeah, the boiler's cooling down. This radiator's now got heat in it, small amount. Temperature dropped right back down. Boiler's lit for heating. Get this temperature up. Yeah. There we go, 34 degrees odd. I'm going to go and turn the hot tap on now, and then come back. Okay, so I'm back, the hot tap's running. Let's see what happens. around 35. I've both on the flow and return there. I'm just going to go and check the hot tap. As you can see, this is on high flame right now. Boiler's running nice and hot. So still around 35. I'm going to pull the return one off and I'm going to put it on the flow pipe. Okay, so you can see this boiler is very hot. The diverter just opened to cool the boiler down and I just heard the diverter close again. So that diverter just opened because the boiler was getting too hot. That's what just happened. So watch this, that's on the flow. So that's on the flow within the boiler, that's on the flow outside. So that was 67, 68. Yeah, the boiler's getting quite hot. Boiler's turned off. Plugging in that diverter. Boom. Dumping the heat out. That diverter's gone back. So the diverter works, the boiler's controlling it and making it do that. So what we're seeing here is when you run a hot tap, then that flow pipe gets scalding hot. We'll watch this go up now. At 70, 73, 74. That's going to hit 80. The boiler's going to turn off in a second. And there's the diverter click, and now boom, dumps all that heat into the racks. That's what's going on with this boiler. So let's find out why now. Yeah, everything's fixable. Okay, so this, my probe's here on the diverter valve for hot water mode. So sorry, for heating mode. What I'm doing here is just proving the boiler does, in fact, send power. So you'll see it will show 240 on here in a sec. When it gets to just over 80 degrees, it will put 240 on the diverter for heating mode. You have to wait for it to get there. Going to do it now. 81, boiler's gone off, 240 on the diverter valve. Yeah, bang, the diverter valve now in heating mode. All that heat goes. Lit, and it jumps back to hot water mode. So it's definitely doing it via the PCB. But what logic is that working to do that? A very unusual thought. Let's phone Vokera. Okay, so what I've actually found now, I've turned the heating off on the knob on the front of the boiler, and it doesn't appear to do it now. Now that the heating's off, 81, 82, it's nearly 83 degrees, very hot.
Very, very hot. Look at that T2C, still stays at 36 degrees. It will not dump it into the heating if it's off on the front of the boiler. So that's fine, we've got that logic now. That logic is only if you've got heating on the front of the boiler will it dump it across. So that makes perfect sense, that logic. Yeah, that makes absolute perfect sense. We'll only dump it into the heating if the heating is on the timer. So what I'm going to do is turn the room stat down and turn it on the timer and see if it will dump into the heating then. Okay, so here we are. Room stat is down now. Timer is on the front of the boiler. Will it dump into the heating? I don't know. We're going to find out. I've got my probes on there. Up to 83, 84. No, rock solid at 35. Rock solid. No 240, so it'll only dump into the heating when the heating's on the front. That's very clever, Vokera boiler. Very clever. Okay, so 10 millibar. Ratio's all good. It's modulating. Let's check the low, shall we? Okay, so the low is 2 millibar. So you can't see that, but I can. So look, if you look at the right, hold on. So the thick red line is 0. Then two lines above that is 1. 2 lines above that is 2. So we're on 2 millibar because the meniscus is there. Let me move this ever so slightly and you'll see that. Okay, move this up. That's very difficult. You can see the meniscus there. Anyway, so let's put that back down. So 2 millibar on min, and I think on Vokera's when we push this on, the boiler will shut down and then relight. So that's what I'm going to do now. And on low, combustion's good, 22 parts per million, pretty good. Okay, I've got them on, went straight back up to high. It's 10.5 on there, 10.5 on there, so it's 10.5, pretty good. Up nicely. It's a solid little boiler, this. Only thing I will say is the engineer has fitted this, but that's NSX. I mean, look at that. So all that stuff back there on the pump, on the plate, look at that, that's big things of NSX down there. Look at it on this side, wow. Maybe he's got shares in Furlocks. I'm going to tag him on this video and ask him about that. So I don't know what the problem was, but the boiler's working alright now. Safety check's done, all good. This will go quite high now probably because on ignition now can do. Pretty damn good really, isn't it? Pretty damn good. Okay, so I've soaked that up. Put that back in. Nice and tight. Put the case on and tidy up and we're done on this one. Couldn't find any issue. Maybe that diverter valve thing. Maybe the engineer had it on heating to purge it, you know, to get the air out because he just changed all this block. And when he was running the hot tap, the diverter was moving like that, and he was feeling the pipe underneath, thinking that the diverter was passing, but because it had a demand for heating, it was just moving the diverter, which is a really neat little trick, isn't it? For an old boiler like this, Shows you Vokera really did put some effort into them. Clever little thing. Okay, that's it. So this one's all done. Good little boilers, eh? Seem to last forever. Right, okay, so that was quite interesting, that Vokera. My thoughts about all of that is that I think the engineer probably did fix it, but once he filled up, once he filled up, he used he put it on heating to purge it, got all the air out, and then ran a hot tap, and thought, you know, that he shouldn't get any heat down the flow, which obviously on 99% of boilers out there you shouldn't. But on that Vokera, it was designed that if you got the heating on as well, it run right up in temperature and then just move that divert valve over. That appears to be the logic of the boiler. I couldn't get it to do it when it was on hot water only, or so if the room stat was down, it wouldn't do it. If the room stat was down, it wouldn't do it, and if the timer was off, it wouldn't do it. So it does definitely seem to be part of the logic. So I mean, it's just clever, really, isn't it? I mean, that's what you want from a boiler, right? These little things that, I mean, you don't want it nowadays because we're so used to the same thing. Everything does the same thing. But back then, that was really innovative, and it's just a shame that it didn't catch on. Because why not have a little bit of heat go to your radiators at the same time as you're running a hot tap? Why not just keep the house topped up, you know? Nowadays, I have people complaining to me, they get a new boiler fitted, they're not used to a Combi, and they got a big family, they all get up in the morning and have shower after shower after shower, they complain that the heating goes off. And they think it's a problem. They just don't realise that a Combi can only do one thing at a time. So yes, I think that's a neat little trick, and I'm gonna speak to the engineer who was there, who's relatively new to the repair side of the industry. He's been an installer for quite a while. I'll just speak to him and let him know about that, because look, I didn't know about that. It certainly caught me out. So yeah, that's that one wrapped up. I think I've left my telephone number for them to get in touch if it plays up again. So now it's time to go home.